All right, today we're gonna talk about how Tony at age 63 was able to dock start, do a lap and come back to the dock. Let's do it. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm with the legend today, Tony. We are here in Idaho and we're gonna talk about dock starting. Definitely dock starting is not an easy thing to do. And Tony's been trying it for the first time last summer, kind of stalled and then got like something that totally unlocked it. So we're gonna talk about it. Tony, thank you for being here, and let's talk about like what kind of like motivated you to get into the dock start. What was like even your feeling? Did you think like, is this even for me? Is this like what was like your first like motivation to get into the dock start?
Well, I think it was an obstacle and a challenge. That's really what it was. Seeing you do it, seeing other people do it, and I knew that it would improve my skills out on the water, and just to see if I can get better with technique and stuff. So my pumping on the water would be better. And yeah, I wanted to do it.
Yeah, so the cool thing about the dock start is like it's very complementary to like what you do like winging, in a way that like, okay, you know, if there is no wind, maybe you can just go to the dock and then practice. And these are like skills that transfer very well into your winging. So now, back to like your first few times, you got excited, you went to the dock, you tried, and then what happened?
I gave up counting how many times I tried it. Got very frustrated.
I mean, you did actually count at first, like.
Yeah, I got up to like 200, and then I gave it up. And then I just said, okay, and then it got to where the season was ending, it was getting cold, and I said, okay, no more of this. And I said, if I don't get it, it's okay, because maybe all this will help with my winging, and I always had the winging to go back to. And so I said, all right, well, it's warm again, the lake's all filled up, let's try it again.
Yeah, so I think that number is actually very important to show like the level of dedication, like 200, you know, because in today's world, like we kind of want like instant gratification. You try it 10 times and you're like, this thing sucks, I don't want to do it, it's impossible. But you know, you put in the time. So now season 2, you come back and something has changed this summer in your overall like kind of like riding that served your dock start. So maybe let's talk about that.
Well, I think the big thing was when you introduced me to this foil, and what you were doing with it, and I said, okay, well, having the better equipment, we'll see what that does for me. And it definitely improved, and I practiced more running off the dock. So I broke it down into the 3 sections of getting off the dock, the glide, and I didn't worry about pumping. So I just kept firing and firing and firing and doing that, and got smoother at that. And then I could think about, you know, the pumping, but the light wind board kind of changed all of that, because now we're going out in very light winds with the same foil that I'm using to pump with. And so I can practice all I want out there pumping. All I got to do is go downwind and pump, or if I run out of wind, I can pump. And I'm getting more time on the water. So I had 5 days in a row, and then I went out again for another 5 days in a row, and I hadn't done any dock starts. And then I said, well, I better keep myself honest, come back and get on the dock and do a dock start. And that was completely different then after that. I was able to leave, was like launching off the dock and getting further out, and very consistently. It wasn't, you know, there was a couple of times I fell in short and didn't get foot position right, but it was like 3 in a row. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
You know.
It was that time like you were getting ready and you were like telling me, you know, my goal is to be able to dock start and do a loop back to the dock by age 65. And literally 20 minutes later, boom, here you are doing multiple laps, coming back to the dock. So the foil that you talked about is the SAP foil 1350 Leviathan, which is 1350 is the wingspan. It's pretty high aspect, about 10 aspect ratio, I think, and about 18 or over 1800 square centimeters. So a pretty big foil, which has combined with like the downwind bow. We've made a video recently about this entire setup. Combine all of this together allowed you to go in lighter wind days winging, and so then you were able to practice your pumping in a way that's like more forgiving, because the thing about like you do the dockstart, and if you don't get it right, you fall. And so that's pretty hard to, like, you know, now you have to swim back and start over. Where with the light wind winging, now you are pumping, but you still have something in your wing, not totally, you know, like you were going out, it was like sometimes dropping like less than like 5 miles per hour. And that's when you really practice your pumping, almost have nothing in the wing, but just enough to have a little help, and then you have another gust coming pretty soon, and then boom, you don't have to pump. So you were able to practice your pumping, you know, like kind of like take it in small pieces, small bites, and then all of that put together, you get back to a dock, and then boom, your pumping has been like game changer, really.
Yeah, I'm getting more of the rhythm and technique down, because when you are out there and you totally lose the wind, yeah, you can reach out and grab air. And then with the pump, you know, it's pretty tiring to get to that next gust, but a lot of times I can get to it. And that's the whole thing, is like you've got that thing in your hand, which is almost like a tightrope walker with the pole, and it can keep me on balance because I'm so used to hanging on to that. But then I'm also using the same foil that I can pump with. And so it was like, okay, I'm really getting the feel for this, and then I would just purposely stay in dead air and pump as far as I could and drop down, and then also go ahead and when a gust comes is then really work on pumping the thing and getting up in very light wind.
Yeah.
And you know, that was a whole incredible thing too. It was like, oh, okay, now I'm going from like 0 to actually up, and I'm looking at the water, and there's hardly any texture on the water.
Yeah.
So, you know, it just translated right over, you know, to the dock starting.
Yeah, so that's the amazing part to me, is like it all like works together, and all of the skills like transfer so well. Like you've been able to get up on foil in like such lighter wind. You know, of course the gear is a huge part of allowing that.
Right.
But if you combine that, you know, with time on the water, which is going to give you better technique, and now, like, you know, that's now your dock start gets better, even though you might not have been practicing dock starts, and you get just overall more time on the water, which I think is key, especially for anybody out there that lives like here on a lake in the inland, where the wind is not the most consistent, the wind is not the strongest, and you are still able to, like you said, 6 days in a row, 5 days in a row. I mean, now it almost feels like you have to almost pick your days, because otherwise you would go every day and you would get like so tired.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've never foiled 5 days in a row anywhere. You know, when I've gone to the gorge, 2 or 3 days, I'm tired, I'm ready to come home. But this is like you can come out like an afternoon sail. You can go out and do your pumping for an hour, ride the wind, see what happens. I mean, all of a sudden we get a big surprise, we get wind, and it's like, now I'm not even pumping, I'm just out cruising, having a great time. I'm having a great time pumping too. But it just opens that up to, like, just come down here and go. And even if I'm sitting out there on the board, all of a sudden something pops up and I can pump up and go. Sometimes not, but I was out there and I did some pumping, you know?
That's it.
And that's all that counts.
So let's leave everybody on a positive note here. And if there's somebody out there that was, you know, believing that they were too old to get into wing foiling, to get into the dock start, what would you tell them?
Oh, you just have to, if it's a passion of yours, just keep going after it, whatever it is, even if it's not wing foiling. But if you want to get into this, yeah, you just have to put the time in, and things come to you. You know, you don't have to like force it. So just keep practicing and practicing, and all of a sudden you get better. And I've been surprised many times where I'm like, how did I do that? You know, or whoa, look at this, like doing the loop back to the dock the other day. You know, I couldn't stop laughing.
and so sometimes, like when something feels impossible and you are just like banging your head, like just take a second and like assess, you know, because, you know, is there maybe a piece of equipment that would allow you to progress, to unlock something? Is there like something different? Like let's say, you know, you were banging on your head on like the dock start. Oh, I didn't think I should go in light wind winging, and that's gonna improve my dock start. So like, is there another piece of equipment or activity out there that is gonna allow me to unlock that thing that I really want to do? So that's the message for today. We hope that you guys are inspired to go out there in any condition, because even though sometimes it sucks to be in light wind, there is no wind, and you want the gust and whatever, it's so valuable and you can still have so much fun. So get out there. Thanks so much, Tony, crushing it, and more coming soon with Tony the legend, with winter riding, maybe another one. But thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.